For us in the United Kingdom, our jewels of liberty, aspiration and prosperity lie buried under the weight of socialism, the shackles of political correctness and the feebleness of our political class. It's now for us in the UK to look enviously from the outside in, from the doghouse of international relations.
Out of 330 million Americans, we're being asked to put somebody in this job who has spent 50 years of his life peddling in half-truths, peddling in false statements, theories that create doubt. Would be better off not getting vaccinated than getting vaccinated.
We are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
The U.S. Coast Guard has added patrols around Florida in the Gulf of America.
The Gulf of America. Today, Google Maps said it will also be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Gulf of Mexico.
Gulf of Mexico.
The Gulf of Mexico.
Gulf of Mexico.
The Gulf
of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. How are we doing, guys? It's Friday night. It's 7:30, which means it is time once again for another live edition of Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments. What is going on? Feeling good tonight. Who's feeling my sunglasses? Do you like them? What's the happy haps? What's going on? People in the live chat, people at home listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, catching up. Welcome to my twice weekly dispatches from dystopia, is what we're branding them as these days. Welcome to this veritable last orders at the bar of the Titanic is basically what this show has become. Cheers, by the way. Once again, pull up a pew, crack yourself open a beer, a bottle of wine, a cheeky bottle of Pinot, guys. Before we get into it, big shout to the Patreons, the YouTube channel community backers, of course. You can click on join on my profile page whenever you like. Join the YouTube community. It starts at just £1 a month. So if you're enjoying the pod, if you're enjoying the paper reviews, and you want to show some love, then the links are usually in the description. I can't remember if I put it in tonight or not. But anyway, you can find it. If you want to show some love, go to the channel, click the join button. Right. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's tear into this like a drunk XL American bully dog in an overly stimulative soft play. Are we looking forward to the weekend, people? Are we looking forward to the weekend? A little 2-day break from your respective insanities. Insanities like a supposedly green Labour Party green lighting a third runway. That's the sort of insanity, kind of, isn't it? Feels a little bit insane to me. Insanities like Mark Zuckerberg complaining that everything he says in his Facebook meetings is getting leaked. Can you believe that? Everything he says in these private Facebook, Meta, Zoom call, Teams, Town Hall things, everything he keeps saying in them keeps getting leaked, and he's complaining about it. And that is, frankly, it's a complaint that could only realistically yield one response. Isn't it? Which is, you know what? Life's a bitch when people don't respect your privacy, isn't it, Mark? Life's a bitch. What other insanities have we lived through this last week? Insanities like Jacob Rees-Mogg lamenting that now, here, today, on Brexit Day, the anniversary of Brexit. Anniversary is the word I'm looking for. The anniversary of Brexit, 5 years on, He's lamenting that it is a shame that we haven't taken advantage of our Brexit opportunities when he was literally the minister for Brexit opportunities, Jacob. I mean, how do you utter those sorts of sentences that deliberately attract attention to your own myriad failures? How do you do it? It's like fucking, it's like Suella Braverman, right? Like Suella Braverman complaining this week about immigration figures, about the influence of foreigners, about immigration figures. Like, that was literally your brief, love. You were the Home Secretary. You don't remember? Is it? It's left. Okay. Okay. What other insanities have we lived through this week? Insanities like Cosplay Calvin, former GB News fame. Cosplay Calvin, or Altar Mitty, as I once saw him referred to as. Made me chuckle. Altar Mitty. Cosplay Calvin, a fake vicar, British, mixed race, and trying to appeal to the American nationalist white supremacist right by doing a Nazi salute. I mean, who do you think you're winning over here, Calvin? Really? Who do you think you're placating and winning over? You, personally. I mean, I honestly think some of these cunts are so desperate and simpy for American. They're so desperate to be loved and accepted by the American Trump right. They are this close to blowing themselves up with a nail bomb. Now, what was I talking? Oh, Cosplay Calvin. Cosplay Calvin did this Elon Musk style Nazi salute at a speech, I believe, in America. Immediately sacked by the church, by the way. Defrocked. Decollared. Somebody get me the XL Bully Brigade. You got a collarless one here. He's got a bit loopy. You gotta put him down. Poor Calvin. Poor old Calvin. Persecuted, crucified for his beliefs. Isn't he? Tossed out by the church for his beliefs. A victim of persecution for his beliefs. And I feel bad for him. I feel a little bit bad for him. Because like, where do you go? What do you do when you've already played the Christian card? You know what I mean? Like in the culture war right, in the GB News and American think tank right, where do you go then? When you've already played that Christian card? You know, because like Russell Brand, right? Russell Brand pivoted to Christianity, didn't he? Curiously, after those first rumours of the rape allegations were just about to surface, then he pivoted. He became good. He became a good person at that exact moment. And he's still riding that out now, isn't he? He's still riding that gravy train as we speak. You know, his whole shtick is, don't call me a rapist. Don't say that I'm a rapist. I speak at Christian festivals now. That's what I do. I'm good now. Look at the things that I'm doing and saying I'm good. And it's working for him. It's, sort of working for him at the moment. You know, he was a lefty before. He took drugs. He railed against the Murdochs before, but now he's accused of these horrendous stuff. Now the old commercial Christ pivot has come along. But what do you do when you're Cosplay Calvin? When you've already been that weird fucking gaudy chancer, and then the church fire you. Like, where do you go to from there? What is the next level of desperation down? Where do angels go to die, guys? Your calls now. 0891. No. What other insanities have been happening this week? Closer to home, sort of. Another story. Reform supporting Isabelle Oakeshott fled, Cairns, London, didn't she? I don't know if you saw this story. She flew away. She ran away from our capital city, home of 1 in 12 people being illegal immigrants. So I read in her paper, the Daily Telegraph. Home of two-tier policing, don't you know? So I read in her conspiracy pamphlet. The Daily Telegraph. So says her paper, in fact, that she's left London, home also of the hate march. You might have read about the hate marches. Anyway, she's left. She's packed up. She's gone on a plane, flown away to become a non-integrating immigrant herself over in Dubai, guys. She's run away to Dubai, an Islamic country, state, I want to say, the United Arab Emirates. She's run away over there, away from Cairns, London, to go and be a non-integrating immigrant, which is, this stuff, like, sometimes they write these things for me. It's effortless when they behave as ridiculously as they do. Like, I want to report her. That's what I want to do. That's how I want this to turn out. I want to report Brexit Barbie to the United Arab Emirates for those tweets that she put out a couple of years ago. Like, we dug them out a few days ago. It was something about a journalist, some guy, I think he was detained or something. I can't remember the specifics of it, but it was something critical about Dubai and its oppressive regime. I want to show that shit to their equivalent of the Home Office. I think that would be their morality police. Any sort of criticism of the state, I want to show it to them. That's what I want to happen next. You know, get her kicked out of the country, straight back to Plague Island. She thinks that she's escaped it. She's like, I've had enough of communist Keir and his private school VAT, his class war on the aspirational right. I've had enough of communist Keir and his hate marches and these radical Marxist lefties. I've had enough. I'm flying away. Oh, no, you don't. Back you come, Izzy. Back you come. There's no escape for you, darling. There can be no happy endings here. It's the ending from Of Mice and Men or nothing. It's just that for you. And of course, when this story blew up a couple of days ago, I feel like I need to adjust my camera here a little bit. Let me just, sorry, if you'll indulge me. There we go. Bring myself in a little bit more. Oh gosh, a bit high there. There we go. What's that? Oh, Isabelle. Right. Isabelle Oakeshott. Izzy. Friend of the show. Isabelle Oakeshott. When she announced this, or when it was revealed that she was leaving for Dubai, there's a bunch of us sort of, tweeting and posting and mocking and roasting and all of that. Having a crack at Isabelle. Right. Because her fella is Richard Tice. All right. And he's supposed to be the MP for Skegness, isn't he? For Reform, along with Farage, Neanderthal, the rest of them. And Farage is supposed to be the MP for Clacton, right? But where Farage is barely in his constituency, with no walk-in surgeries, because he's always off chasing the limelight, right? He's always off at a fucking inauguration or, going to see his friend Donald who just got shot, who then can't be asked to see him. He's never uncracked it. This is well-established fact, right? But I mean, is Tice even going to be like Farage is always up in London, right? Doing media. He's a media darling, is Farage. At least he's in the UK. Is Richard Tice even going to be in the United Kingdom at all? Is he? You know, if his long-term Brexit Barbie girlfriend is emigrating to Dubai to set up this new life, is Richard Tice even... Is he going to represent Skegness from the fucking Burj Khalifa Tower? Is that where we're headed? Like, it's not productive. It's not productive, guys, for you to work from home. I don't know if you've read about that, particularly in the Telegraph. It's not productive for you or me or our friends to work from home when you're coding or you're cold calling or you're doing your admin or whatever. But him, Richard Tice, oh, absolutely. I'm sure he can find a way to be the MP for Skegness from an entirely different country. I'm sure they'll find a way because they're very, very clever. So a lot of us were having a crack at her, you know, having a bit of a mock. A lot of people were, you know, incorrectly, laughably suggesting that this was misogyny. Don't know if you saw some of that sort of intern criticism back at us, which I was like, no, it's not. That is not what this is. That is, you're not, no. Not going to fly at all. Because, frankly, right, and can I just say this, right? It would probably mean a lot more if the accusation of misogyny wasn't coming from people who didn't have a fucking, like, rich tapestry tweet history that was drenched in a load of anti-Meghan bile and fucking Amber is a gold digger hashtags. Think it through, guys, please. What else has been going on? People in the live chat. What else has been happening this week? Should we talk about America for a minute? I suppose we should touch on our North Atlantic cousins. Over stateside, we saw this week, Google is the latest big American corporation to just bow down and kiss the ring of one Donald Trump, isn't it? Google have also bent over or bowed down, kissed that ring. They are just the latest. We should probably do an award for this, actually, a sort of, you know, weekly award. Maybe, you know, for people and companies that were previously critical of Donald Trump, but who now, bizarrely, they are vocally and procedurally supportive of him, right? Because it's kind of a weekly occurrence now, a complete 180. They've seen the light. It really is astonishing to witness it. You know, Peter Mandelson this week, you might have read, seen, heard. Peter Mandelson has effortlessly slithered from being hugely critical of Donald Trump. He called him a racist, among other things, to now he's a cheerleader. Now he's going to be the ambassador for the UK into the United States. Now he is in love with Donald. Can't get enough of him. He thinks he's a really good guy. He's impressive. He's, you know, all of the adjectives that everybody else is saying about him when they're pretending that he's not a adjudicated rapist. David Lammy has also been won over by the grace and charm of the 300-pound orange rapist. That is what he is. If you can't remember, if you're having trouble remembering, David Lammy joins Peter Mandelson and Google. Who else is now a convert? Who else now loves Donald and who previously condemned Donald? Boris Johnson. Did you know that? Boris Johnson, fellow American, in fact, of Donald Trump. He condemned him after the riots. He put out a statement. He said, this isn't the America that I know or love and blah, blah, blah. And this is, you know, Donald Trump did this and that's really sad. And he was pretty critical of him after January the 6th. Until last week, he was seen fluttering throughout the halls of the inauguration, wasn't he? Nigel Farage was jealous of him. Farage was like, how come he's going to these engagements, but I haven't been in fact, because he doesn't give a shit about you, Nigel. How many times are you going to fly over there and pretend to be his best friend and he doesn't give you the time of day? It's so I'm cringing my fucking molars every time you fly to Washington, mate. We all are. Shut it down. So Boris Johnson condemned Trump, and then last week, very supportive of Trump. The Telegraph, did you know this one? The Telegraph called January the 6th America's Day of Shame on their front page afterwards. But now, this week, they're out here suggesting, again, I don't know if you saw this stuff this week, front page of the Telegraph, they were suggesting that Brits, we want our own Donald Trump. Apparently, according to the Telegraph, according to Isabelle Oakeshott's favourite paper of two-tier policing and hate marches and 1 in 12 people are illegal immigrants. That paper. But I'm sure they're being honest and truthful about this. Guys, this time they're being truthful. So they called it a day of shame after January the 6th, but now they think Brits want our own Donald Trump. And you might be thinking, as I'm going through some of this stuff, or indeed, as you walk past the newsstands of your local 24-hour garage, or, you saunter past W.H. Smith's, or wherever there's newspapers. You might be thinking, like, hang on a second, look, am I going fucking crazy? Is it me? Am I a moment of insanity amongst all of the other moments of insanity? Is it me that is the crazy one? And it's, no. You're not crazy. You're not. It's this lot. They are the crazy ones, I promise you. Is it me? I'm not forgetting something. This is the same guy that was found liable for rape, convicted of fraud. He's a convict. He's a felon. Some people say he's a Russian asset. He tried to upend democracy, launched a coup on his own. It's the same guy, isn't it? Right? And you're all saying that we should celebrate him and that we need our own version of it. You don't think that's a little bit insane? Yes, it is. And you are right to think that. It's not you that's crazy. You are not insane. These people are just shameless. That is what's happening here. They're just cowards. That is all it is. They see which way the wind is blowing. And then whether it's Boris Johnson, the Telegraph, Mandelson, David Lammy, whoever, right? They pretend that they are no longer disgusted by him. And then they just hope that their infant school nativity play level of acting is enough to convince us all, because we're all so fucking stupid. Oh, I guess David Lammy does like Donald Trump now. They hope and pray that level of acting is enough to win us over. Like, okay, all right. Thank you, David. Thank you. I feel incredibly respected and not in the least bit insulted. But they don't truly feel like that. They're lying. They're shameless. They're cowards. You're not crazy. But anyway, back to Google, who are by no means the anomaly in terms of kissing said ring. Because what, Aid? Because previously we had Jeff Bezos, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, telling the Washington Post not to endorse a candidate. They are a famously left-of-center American news publication, and he told them not to endorse a candidate ahead of the ballots. And also a famous or respected cartoonist at the Washington Post was prohibited from drawing a satirical cartoon that mocked Bezos kissing the ring. So that's Bezos is meta, like levels deep, kissing the ring over there. We've had Elon Musk being Elon Musk. We've had Mark Zuckerberg, who called Trump a badass. And now, finally, we've got Google agreeing to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America on its maps, on its Google Maps, guys. It is agreeing to do that to placate the sensibilities of Donald Trump. So that's good. That's good stuff there, Google. To be fair to you, to recognize your strengths, you kept up with the commitment to provide trusted, accurate information, and your dedication to maintaining integrity and impartiality in our services. You kept that up right up to the point that it actually fucking mattered. Lads, you gave it your best, didn't you? You gave it your best. And I imagine Musk, Zuck, Bezos, I imagine they're all pretty relieved. You know, I imagine they're like, oh, finally. You know, finally, because we've got us three. We've got us three. And then now we're welcoming in Sundar Pichai of Google into our, like, what is it? What is their little group of subservient tech bro CEOs? What is it? It's like a sort of little, like a subservient harem for Donny, isn't it? They're going to be like all four of them now. Sundar Pichai, sorry. Jeffrey Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all of them are going to be like Donald Trump's very own Gwen Stefani Harajuku girls. Like, do you remember that? When she was on like Jonathan Ross and she came on with Harajuku girls and she said it was like they were figments of her imagination, but they were like sort of sat behind her, like smiling and giggling and batting their lashes. That is what these cunts are going to be like for Donald Trump. They're going to be like, come with us, Sundar. Come with us. Finally, you've joined us too, Sundar Pichai. We thought we'd lost you there for a moment. We did. Oh, please come and join us over here too, and please bow down and fillet Emperor Trump with us. You take that bull, and we will take this bull, and we might swallow the load of the Donald once more together. So yeah, Google win that award for this week for, previously being at least, neutral. Now this week, bending over backwards to accommodate the desires of a raving fucking lunatic. They win the award this week for bothering to label that Gulf the Gulf of America. Like, really, guys? Really? Did you need to? Did you have to do it? Did you? Although, you know what? I don't know if you know this, right? Like, maybe it's not as bad as it seems. Because as well as making that change, Google have also officially declared America a sensitive country now. It's like, well, what does that mean, Aid? Okay, well, I'll tell you. So Google have sensitive countries marked, little Boolean in their databases somewhere. They have sensitive countries. Is this a sensitive country? False. Is that a sensitive country? True. America is one such sensitive country now with regards to their mapping, for borders, for naming, for discrepancies, and so on. You know, like with Ukraine, if you're in Russia, you might see a different result with regards to Ukraine, where the borders are, than if you were in Ukraine or indeed the rest of the world. Or the same thing with like Taiwan or China. You get the idea, right? America is now a sensitive country. So for American users now, with that Gulf, they're going to display this one thing over here. But to everybody else outside of America, it's still going to say Gulf of Mexico. It's just going to say the other thing. So to Americans, it's going to be like, yeah, it's totally called the Gulf of America. That's what it's Gulf of America is what it's called. But to literally every other country, it's still the Gulf of Mexico. And like we talk a lot on this channel, on this show, about echo chambers, don't we? Radicalized people living in their own realities. You know, whether it's Daily Mail hacks or Suella Braverman imagining that we're living in a communist dictatorship. So that they can then, for their own leisure, they can be terrified of what that must be like to live in a communist dictatorship. Like it's a hobby. It's a pastime. It's leisure for these people living in this weird echo chamber terror bubble of disinformation. Or indeed, not just politicians and journalists, but the victims of that polarized alt-right ecosystem who see these news stories pumped out day after day, one horrifying headline after another. Terror, fear, racism, hate. Those people for whom it's like cinema adverts, that they are forced to sit through and slowly frog boil their brains to the point that they do actually genuinely come away thinking at some stage that two-tier policing is a real thing, or that 1 in 12 people in London is an illegal immigrant now, right? So we talk a lot about this stuff going on. Echo chambers, disinformation bubbles, the radicalized. But I don't think we've ever had a whole fucking country mollycoddled into his own protective bubble before. I mean, it's like a whole country. It's incredible, isn't it? Oh, yeah, it's totally the Gulf of America. Sure it is. It's whatever the demented, frenetic, frenzied, anger, orange sack over there said that we should call it. Yeah, sure. So I don't know, maybe it's not kowtowing. Maybe we take the award back from Google and just send it on to Mandelson. I don't know. Maybe it's Mandelson's award time this week. Maybe it's just Google and the rest of us treating America like a fed up parent treats their whiny kid at the summer barbecue. Like maybe that's all it is like Google like kid glovesing the American right. Maybe that's what is happening here. A fed-up parent just appeasing their kid. The kid comes over like, Mom, Taylor said that I'm not Captain America, but I said I was going to be Captain America first. I'm totally Captain America. And the mom's just like, oh, my God. Yeah, fine. You're Captain America. Taylor, would you stop winding him up? It's like that. It's like, yeah, fine. Whatever. Who gives a shit? I'm trying to drink my wine. I mean, that's what it comes off like to me, the Google stuff. It's, it's like that fed up, tired mum energy. That's what I get. Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. Fine. Yeah, just change the Boolean to true and then put the Gulf of America in the thing. Yeah, it's fine. Just tell him that we did it. Yeah, whatever. It's fed up mum. How is that not fed up mum energy? It is, isn't it? So that's what they're doing this week. That's their insanity. Is renaming a Gulf, but only for American IP addresses. Like one of these days, all of the MAGA lot are going to fuck around and get a VPN, aren't they? And they're going to see how the rest of the world see them. And I don't think they're going to like it. I think that is going to be a hell of a wake-up call for a lot of the MAGA right. Because what's the course that we're on at the moment? The course that we are on at the moment, we're going to end up with a load of tech companies in San Francisco and Texas and, wherever else, placating Donald Trump and giving him the naming conventions and news stories that he wants for his country. And ostensibly, what it's going to end up like is it's going to be like America's own Chinese wall, or like North Korean version of the internet. People are going to end up getting VPNs just to see what the rest of the world is saying because they don't want to have this enclosed American-specific Trump-happy version of it. They're going to get a VPN, like log on to like The Guardian. Oh my God, they all think we're fucking stupid. Uh-huh. I thought that this place that we all live, I thought that Trumpy Super Best Place Land, as it was recently christened, I thought that Trumpy Super Best Place Land was like the Holy Motherland. That's what I was told. I heard it was the best place in the... Like, President Trump actually told me that this place that we live in is heaven. Because I was here in Trumpy super best place land, and he told me. That's what he said. He said, this is actually heaven. I've died and gone to heaven because I'm in Trumpy super best place land. They get the VPN, chat to some guy from the UK. Like, no, that's not. You're not in heaven. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You're actually in a country with a huge income disparity problem. Like, with no healthcare. You got no healthcare. Santa Claus isn't real either. And yeah, the rest of the world kind of hate you. I don't know what to tell you. These are the facts. This is how life actually is. They'll be like, oh, man. But you know what? If it's some consolation for you, take some solace in the fact that civilization is probably going to collapse pretty soon. So it won't be long before that whole heaven thing gets a bit more real. For you. All right. Awesome. I mean, if you've been a good boy. Oh, sure. Yeah. Just like Santa. Remember Santa? Yeah. Right, okay. Well, Santa's not real, but if you've been a good boy, you'll totally go to heaven. Oh, cool. Cool. Awesome. Just be a good boy. Just like Russell. So, that was the Google news this week. Google are renaming it to the Gulf of America, but only for American users to make them feel better. And it's like, do you know what it's like, right? This whole only self, only visible to ourselves, only visible to us, kind of personal rebrand type of thing. Like, do you know what it's like? It's like when you trim your pubes. Okay? It's like when you trim your pubes, right? You get everything looking nice down there. Everything is nice and neat and clean, isn't it, right? When you've trimmed back the thatches, the hedge down there in the reproductive regions. It's a sensitive area down there too. Not just the US, It's all nice and it's trimmed and it's neat and it's clean. And maybe, if you're female, maybe you get your legs back. Maybe you're a man and you get your legs back. I don't care. But, maybe you shave it a little bit down there, a little landing strip. Maybe a bit of manscaping, they call it, don't they? Whatever. You trimmed your pubes and you got it looking all proper down there. Okay? But it's like it's, not really for anyone else, is it? If you're being honest with yourself. There's nobody banging down your door begging to see what your dick and balls look like with your new fucking hairstyle down there. And then, you saunter into the pub because it's all nice and it's trimmed and it's clean and, whatever. You saunter into the pub looking all sexy and confident, feeling all sexy and confident. And to everybody else, you still look like the same sad sack of shit you were 3 hours ago. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Not one person in the pub. Nobody cares what you've done with your own weird self-echo chamber rebrand. That is what the Gulf of America is to everybody else. Guys. So, what else is happening? What else has caught your eye this week in Newsland? People, it's been a big week for AI, I gather. Something called DeepSeek was released this week, which is a, what is it? It's a sort of, ask it anything and it will reply like a person kind of thing. So that was released and it saw US tech stocks pretty much tanking through the floor, man. Like, it's not good, really, for the American tech industry. Although, I don't know, everything's so fucking back to front over there. You know, golfs are called things that they actually aren't. Trump wins elections that he loses. Inequality widening means becoming great again. So presumably it's only a matter of time before tanking stocks perversely means the economy's doing amazing. Like, maybe that can't be too far away now. You know, I mean, you laugh, but that day is coming. That is how deep this is going to go. It is a matter of time, people, before the culty denialism and the inequality just continues to grow and grow. Because it does grow. It's growing year after year. It's just a matter of time until the president of Trumpy super best placeland or whatever is telling the board of Meta or the CEO of Google, telling them to wave their little flags, telling them that they're doing great again. While the metaverse collapses in the background and the staff all fuck off to China and, you know, Zuck's weird as fuck super shares. His super shares that he has in Meta and Facebook gradually become worthless. Donnie's still going to be like, oh, we're winning. We're totally winning. And you're still winning. You're totally winning, Mark. Here in Trumpy super best placeland. Just ask Google. If you got any doubts, just go type your name into Google. Look, it says Mark Zuckerberg. It's amazing. In Trumpy super best placeland. But yes, anyway, DeepSeek AI came out this week, took Microsoft and OpenAI's lunch. So it did. They seemingly achieved what OpenAI did with ChatGPT with their original $100 million model that they put together with their research and all of that. They achieved the same, or very, very similar, but with just $5 million. And so that is vastly cheaper. It's way more efficient, more openly accessible, and the impact was instant. It was the whole thing, the launch of it, the fact it sort of came out of nowhere, it just made this recent $500 billion investment by Oracle and OpenAI, Microsoft and SoftBank, heralded by Trump, $500 billion only days before it made the whole thing look fucking ridiculous. And these Chinese deep-seek guys come out and go like, yeah, we did this for 5 million. Not even billion. You did 500 billion. We did this for 5 million. So the stocks all tank. $600 billion was wiped off Nvidia's market value. Oracle was down by a fifth, guys. Big American tech stocks nosediving. And then the panic starts. And then the Zuck effect. Because the usual weird internet rumors start surfacing. First off, there's the web app goes down, couldn't sign up any new users. Then there's loads of stuff about, it steals your data. It steals your data, this thing. It's Chinese, so the Chinese state are going to get their hands on your data. That whole TikTok-y argument. And then there was some criticism. They said this was only achievable because they got their hands on good old American chips. So, the credit really should go with America, was an angle, was a view that I saw. And then, finally, this was I thought this was beautiful. This was incredible. See what you think of this, right? Now, it's OpenAI, right, and Microsoft who made ChatGPT, which was the first big one of these, right? And OpenAI and ChatGPT are saying that DeepSeek stole their modeling data, and that is why they were able to do so much with only $5 million, because they stole ChatGPT's modeling data that OpenAI, Microsoft, ChatGPT themselves stole off everybody else's data, everybody else's intellectual like how are you going to go out on record complaining that DeepSeek didn't respect your intellectual property when ChatGPT is modeled on everybody's articles and blogs and comments and films and scripts, and you just took them and ran with them? Yeah, I don't like the way that they took our intellectual property without asking. Yes! Really fucking annoying, isn't it? It's annoying when people don't respect your privacy. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous. It truly is. Like, we're all supposed to be fucking, outraged that a few billionaires have lost money in their stock portfolios this week. Really? Are we? We're supposed to get all patriotic about American billionaires, not evil Chinese ones. Woo! Like, don't worry, fellas. Don't worry. All right, like, why don't you just name... I'll tell you what you could do. You could rebrand DeepSeek on your Google results in America to AmericaSeek, to Stars and Stripes Seek, and you're golden. Everybody will love it. Spare yourself those blushes. And besides, do you know what? I just used DeepSeek to write the description to this episode instead of ChatGPT, but if this episode gets a few super chats, if it attracts enough advertising money and monetization and all of that and tips and all the super chats and super thanks and all of that, if I get that, and if it feels like I might have robbed you of it somehow, I am positive that it will still magically find its way upstream to your pockets somehow through the miracle of trickle-up economics. I'm sure that's a real thing. What else has been going on, man, this week?
Prince Andrew's and Knott's Burger.
Did any of you guys see the RFK Jr. confirmation hearing at all? RFK Jr., who is, of course, half famous for his family name because he's a Kennedy, and half famous for his voice because he sounds like a sort of he sounds like a gravelly and hoarse kind of 60-a-day smoker kind of, like he's a bit like Batman, isn't he? Sounds a bit like he sounds like if Marvel and DC finally wind up the superhero movies. Like if Batman got shipped off to the retirement home. That is what he sounds like. He sounds like a retired Batman at the nursing home. Like, I'm Batman. I'm Batman. The nurse is like, okay, all right, let's get you to your room. Comes out two hours later. He's like, I had a little accident. Can somebody come and clean up my cape? Anyway, RFK had his confirmation hearing. This is a guy who has vaccinated his own kids, but he preaches against vaccines to everybody else. He rides that gravy train. He sells that snake oil. Vaccinated his own kids, but preaches against them to everybody else. Talks endlessly about the harms of food, chemicals, pharmaceuticals going into your bodies. You get the idea, I'm sure. The harms of food and chemicals and pharmaceuticals going into Americans' bodies. He used to shoot heroin, though. That's the thing. That's the thing that doesn't... you should be really careful about those fruit with the preservatives. Uh-huh. How's the smack going, though? Yeah, it's fine. The smack's good. Smack is pure, man. Super comfortable up on stage, talking about the ills and evils of that triple jab you might give to your kids. Yeah. Apparently heroin, not so much. And this is in the same week, by the way, that tuberculosis made a comeback in the United States. Feel the nostalgia, guys. We're bringing back the Kennedys and TB. Woohoo! USA! USA! Trumpy super amazing land! At its peak right now. Bringing back the Kennedys and TB on a nostalgia tip. Next week, the fucking Brady Bunch and polio. Let's get it! So yes, he's super comfortable warning you off jabs. But yes, according to his own cousin, who wrote a 2-page blistering attack about him to the Senate, warning them off him. Because they get the say, don't they, to confirm whether he gets a job in government. According to his cousin's 2-page thing, RFK Jr. is a drug-addled lunatic who used to shoot heroin, led others down a dark path from which some didn't escape. They died, I guess. She called him a predator who used to put mice in a blender. It's according to his own cousin. Put mice in a... I mean, it's not psychopathy, is it? It's not totally out of the neighborhood of psychopathy. Just sit there while I put the mice in a blender. Okay, Rob. All right, settle down. Where did I get to? Sorry. Oh, right. So he's doing his confirmation hearing. And he's going through the stuff, and his cousin has warned the Senate off of him. And, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited, guys. I think it's a great step forward for America. I think it's exactly the right direction. Makes perfect sense. So it does. I can't wait to see what contributions this guy is going to make when he is inevitably confirmed for his Secretary of State role. I'm super psyched. I hope you are too. You know, I mean, you think they won't confirm him, really? You don't think he's definitely, obviously going to end up with that job? Secretary of State for Food, Science, and Healthy Eating, or whatever the fuck it is. You know, I mean, they've just confirmed a former Fox News host as Secretary of State for Defense. He's just a former Fox News guy. Secretary of State for Defense now in the Trump administration. They're just like, hey, well, you know your way around a teleprompter, don't you? Yeah. Well, okay, here's the most advanced nuclear military in the entire world at the most geopolitically unstable time. Good luck with it. What could go wrong? They wanted a kid fucker as Attorney General. A Fox News host as defense. They've got Tulsi Gabbard coming in. She's like Bezzy Buds with the asshats. Tulsi Gabbard. Like, who's doing the Treasury? Fucking Bernie Madoff. Who else is coming in? So obviously RFK is going to end up doing health. Obviously. That is what is going to happen. The only way that he doesn't, the only way he's not going to end up as Secretary of State for Health is if there is a last-minute application for a job share between Dr. Joseph Mangala and Herman fucking Goering. That's the only way. Let's change the story a little bit, shall we? Have we got time for a weird news story? Oh my God, time has got the better of me. Should we just do it anyway? Should we hang on for a little bit? It's going to be a little bit longer episode today. Let's do a weird news story, and then, of course, we are going to wind it down for the lock-in. Stay on for a little bit longer tonight. I can do some Q&A. You can throw me some questions. I'll scan back through the chat, see what you guys are saying. What's up to Diz? What's up to Zero? What's up to Gareth in the chat this evening? Jim Speak. Dickie32. All of these people. Sorry, I've been a little bit distracted away from the chat again tonight. How frightfully rude of me. Right. Let's get into this, shall we? So this is a story from Fox 35. From Fox 35 in Orlando. Although I'm pretty sure you could find this in other places, I'm sure. The headline. Are you ready for this? Where is it? Here we go. Here's the headline. Fox 35 in Orlando. Detroit priest, host of Exorcist Files, used girl's hair to floss teeth. Please say. Detroit priest, host of Exorcist Files, used girl's hair to floss teeth. I mean, like we've been doing these weird news stories for a while now, and like they don't get saner, do they? These weird news shows that I go hunting for on a Friday lunchtime. You know? Like earlier I saw one about a 27-year-old female teacher who had started fucking a 13-year-old boy. That was one that popped up in the weird news sections of all of these online publications. And the way that it was written, I was this close to talking about it and ranting about it. The way that it was written was just like the worst thing that she had done. She had just broken the trust of the community. I was like, what? She's really broken the trust of this community, this school. She's let the school down. She's let herself down. You know? Like, what are you talking? Like, she's broken the trust of the kid. That is not what you expect from a teacher. It's like, you know, it's like a telling off by someone. It's a slap on the wrist. Oh, come on now, sweetheart. Come on. You know better than this. Like, you know you're not supposed to do that. What are you like? You know? Rather than this bitch being a literal fucking she-dophile. That's what she is. She's a she-dophile. Guys, who is preying on a kid, preying on a child, grooming and corrupting him. That is what is happening here. She's a predator, lads. That's what took place. Like, what is with the media washing that goes on here? What is with the media, like this need to just just water it down a little bit. Don't use any harsh word. Like, did she fuck around and become the president? Did I blink and she won an election? And now everyone's like, oh, did you know that the Brits quite would like a thing like this? Like, no! What are you doing? Mandelson and Lammy are just lining up to call her inspirational, probably. I don't know. And then there was another one, another news story I almost talked about earlier. I found in the news sections. Another one about a couple of teachers, again, like more teachers. A couple of teachers who had a house party and all of the kids ended up drunk and the cops come and arrest them for neglect and child endangerment. And I'm not saying Mexico is perfect, right? But look, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that if you're banging the drum about absorbing Greenland, right, and absorbing the Panama Canal and expanding into Canada or whatever, I don't know. Like, for all of the talk of the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, like if I was Greenland, I think I'd probably rather be part of Mexico. I think if I was Greenland, I'd be like, can we fuck Trump, fuck the USA? Can we be part of Mexico, please? Because I've seen some of Abe Thompson's weird news stories from stateside. You know, it seems like a messed up place, to be frank with you. You know, and I've got kids. I'll take my chances with the South American cartels any day. Like, what is seriously going to be more dangerous to your kids? Like, riddle me that. What is seriously going to be more dangerous to your children? The country with the best weather, the best beaches, the cheap cocaine? Or the land of the free over here where the coke gets you a 20 stretch and while you're locked up, the teachers fuck your kids. And then when you get out and you're like, oh, I'm going to get revenge now, you can't, because by that point, the fucking nonce is getting nominated as the Attorney General or the Secretary of State for Education or some shit. Like, that is how fucked up America is right now. But anyway, if you needed more, if you needed another weird news story to cement and to solidify pre-held opinions. This is from Fox 35. Detroit priest. Where is it? Detroit priest, host of Exorcist Files, used girl's hair to floss teeth. Should I read it to you? I'll read it. Here we go. It says, a Detroit priest and self-proclaimed exorcist is facing charges after allegedly attempting to use a 13-year-old girl's hair to floss his teeth with. Right. Righty-ho. It says, Father Carlos Martins, can I say that properly? Father Carlos Martins is from Detroit and is the star of a popular podcast named The Exorcist Files, comparing his life to the movie The Exorcist. He's a member of the Catholic Church. Okay. Of course he is. At least until they give him the cosplay Calvin treatment. I mean, that's we shouldn't rule that out. That's probably coming any day now. Like, if Christianity draws a line at Nazi salutes, I think it would probably rule out abusing children too. But who knows? Who knows? Historically, it's both of those things are things that they've struggled with. So, you know. Right, so he's a podcast host. He says his life is like The Exorcist, and he works and lives on Detroit's west side at the Companions of Cross Church. I mean, you know, like earlier we were saying, you know, where does Calvin go now? You know, where do you go when even the church have cancelled you? Right? When there can be no forgiveness? Well, the answer is freelancing. The answer is freelancing. Just get out there, start a podcast, contract yourself out to exorcise those Detroit houses. Like Father Carlos. It continues. It says, in November, Father Carlos was visiting Illinois as a traveling priest, and it is alleged he approached a 13-year-old girl. Asked about her hair and, specifically, if she ever used it to floss her teeth with. Right. Which is, it's a pretty normal question, right? Yeah, it's a pretty normal opener. You know, for somebody, for a child with whom, you know, you've never conversed ever once before, as a priest, as a Catholic priest, to rock up to a child and suggest flossing your teeth with her hair. Like this, these sorts of moments, this is when everybody's eyebrows shoot up like RFK Jr. at a fucking Iggy Pop show. Like this is when, it's like when you're a Catholic priest, and you are approaching a child, any child, like, immediately, your dashboard should be flashing red. Like, why am I doing this? Why? What am I going to say to this child? Has it been proofread? Has the PR consultant in my brain green-lighted it? Are we 100% certain that this is necessary to say and appropriate? And won't colour people's already very coloured perspectives of what Catholic priests are like when they're around children. Have I green-lighted this? Have I considered this? Are we good? Are we good, little PR department, in my internal monologue? Oh, we are. We are. Okay, I can say it. Okay, here we go. Have you ever used your hair to floss your teeth? Like, have you ever put your hair? Can I put my your hair in my mouth? What are you fucking doing? Just silence. The cardinals either side of him are just like, oh my God! No! No! Don't! Stop talking! Self-control, Carlos. We've been through this. It says, it is alleged he approached a 13-year-old girl. He asked about her hair and specifically if she ever used it to floss her teeth with. Then it's alleged that he then picked up her hair, placed it in his own mouth, and made a flossing motion. said Sergeant Dwayne English with the Joliet Police Department. Like, I mean, the thing is with this is the sort of thing that my dad would do. It's like a sort of, it's a stupid, cringy, granddadish joke, isn't it? Like, it could be. It could be a very silly joke. But you can't tell me that this guy isn't aware of the reputation of Catholic priests, right? You can't tell me he's completely ignorant of that and his responsibilities for how he should be acting in the context of Catholic priests around children, for him to be like, oh, you have long hair. You have long hair, and I'm a silly old man, but wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if I put your hair in my mouth? That's not like a generous interpretation. And it is generous. Just bear with me, right? A generous interpretation of this could be that it is just a silly joke. But here is the thing. It's like, this guy, he's got to be aware of the reputation of Catholic priests. He has to be aware of the kind of trouble that he could get in if even if a completely innocent joke were to be misinterpreted. So why take the risk? That's the thing that gets me. Why would you take that risk? Approaching the child, saying something weird against the backdrop of all the horror stories about Catholic priests and kids. Why would you take that risk unless it was like actually because you were trying to get something horrendous out of it? It doesn't make any sense otherwise. Why would it be worth the risk unless it was definitely what we're all worrying that it was, actually? It says, police say minutes later he sat in the pew behind her. I don't know what a pew is. Police say minutes later he sat in the pew behind her and he started growling at her. He sat, I guess it's a row. Is it a row or some sort of like church bench or so? I don't know. He sits in a thing behind her and starts growling. Like, how? How is this? What? You got nice hair. Do you ever floss with your hair? Can I just put your hair in my mouth for a little? Do you mind? And then sits down. She's like freaked out. He sits down behind her. He's like, like, what? Seriously, just fucking what? What's going to become of Father Carlos now, man? What is going to become of this poor cancelled priest? That is what he is, isn't it? He's a cancelled, cruelly cancelled by the politically correct, woke establishment of the Joliet police force. Who, thanks to this charge of misdemeanor battery is apparently what he's been charged with. Thanks to that, Father Carlos has now been forced out of the Companions of Cross Church in Detroit. Those bloody snowflakes at the Companions of Cross Church. What's he supposed to do now, guys? What is he gonna do? And like, here's what I want to happen, right? Just to close out. And then we're going to wrap up. And we're going to do the lock-in. Here's what I want to happen. Is I think last year was the year of Russell Brand getting caught up in rape allegations and then pivoting to being a Christian convert, right? Donald Trump being found liable for his rape allegations. And now he's this gaudy MAGA QAnon Christian convert, right? That was last year, though. I think this year, 2025, I think this year is the year of cancelled Christians who pivot back to the hard right again. They leave that shit and they just come back to full-on right-wing. Godless right-wingers. I think that's going to be this year. And I think Cosplay Calvin and Father Carlos, if you're watching this, I think both of you, I think you should get together. I think that's what needs to happen next. I think you should spend an hour a week on a podcast talking about and railing about how Jesus was the original victim of cancel culture. You can host a podcast together. You could get a guest on, like the fucking she-defiled teacher and Matt Getz, and you can wave your MAGA flags on the cameras with your microphones every week, talking up that QAnon shit with Matt Getz and the she-defiled teachers, and you can all wank yourself, lib, over how Donald Trump is saving America from the pedophiles. Guys, that's it. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in for the show every Friday night at 7:30. If you're enjoying the pod and the paper reviews and you want to access episodes of the podcast 2 days before everybody else, and you want to get onto the Discord chat and so on, please do click the link in the description, or there's a join button on my profile, and the Patreon and the YouTube community stuff. That starts at only like £1 a month. So if you just want to show some love, £1 a month is very much appreciated. I'll be back on Monday with another alternative paper review. But now, guys, now it's time for the lock-in. So to the podcast listeners and viewers who are checking out now, until next time, keep it booge. Keep it binfluencer. Join my cult. Join my caliphate. But now it's time to wind down. This is where angels go to die, guys. Peace. Right, let's get on to this, shall we? I'm going to stop recording. So stop recording, and we get into this goddamn lock-in. Here we go. Boomtown. Shall I bring the chat up? How we doing, peeps? Shall I scan back through the chat? Let's do it. There we go. Ba-ba-ba-do. Mojo Sabian, man. How you doing? I didn't see you in there earlier. Diz? What's going on? Who else have we got? We've got Gareth. Gareth is saying a pew is a bench in a church formed in rows. I thought it was. It had that sort of vibe to it. Tackleberry's just joined. Welcome to the Just Showing Some Love tier. Thank you very much, Tackleberry. That means a lot. Thank you, man. Mojo says, sorry I was late. That's all right. Everybody's got their lives on, haven't they? Everybody's got their bits and bobs to take care of. I can turn off my posh camera now, can't I? Here we go. There we go. Shall I move this one over there, or are we good? I'll just leave it there this time. Let's see if I can scan back through the chat. Went on a little bit longer tonight. Completely lost it. Like, while I was doing the prep earlier, I was like, that should probably take me up to an hour. And then as I was, I think I was about halfway through, like about 8 o'clock. Oh, somebody's saying I've got a warning up saying stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Interesting. That's first time I've seen that for a while. Normally it just says like you have an excellent connection. So I don't know what's going on there. What's the quality been like tonight? Have I glitched out at all? Is it like disconnected and reconnected? What's going on? Gareth says, you mean you prep for these rants? Yes, I work very hard to make them look really ill-prepared and shit. There we go. Turn the screen off. Diz says you did glitch. There was a disconnected. Are we being shadow banned? Maybe Aid has another channel that we don't know about. Hopefully not. Started buffering at 7:30, says Richard. I'm a bit jumpy since you ended and we had to refresh. That's interesting. I wonder if stoppy starty on the video for me, says Billy. Hopefully the like recorded version is okay. I'm sorry if it's been a bit weird. I wonder what so it's telling me that I can open the widget. Sorry, this isn't very interesting for you guys, I'm sure. Stream status says good now. So, don't know. Weird. Excellent connection, it says now. How weird. Maybe it was just saying that for a bit and then it's but when I click on the thing it like resets it and then it starts telling me that it's excellent again. Weird. Anyway, how are you guys doing? How is everyone in the chat? How's your week's been? 7:53. I'm going back to in the chat. I like to think that they aren't happy even with power and wealth, said Zero. All these people in power, how do they live with themselves? Do you know what? I'm increasingly becoming convinced that they know how doomed we are and that they're just trying to get as much money and power and safety as they can while they can, because then when the whole thing comes crashing down in like 10 years time, 15 years time, they will be off on the desert islands. That makes sense to me for why they are so chancery. That's the only way that it sort of makes sense how duplicitous and obviously hypocritical they are. Like stuff like Nigel Farage. So he's been on record many times, right, talking about sovereignty, doesn't want a foreign court ruling over us. And yeah, I already know, like, I just know that if Donald Trump said that he wanted to invade England, Farage wouldn't say shit, would he? It's got very little to do with, like, sovereignty, his sensibilities, and it's so obvious as well. Or, like, earlier on we were talking about Oakeshott, right? Isabelle Oakeshott, supposedly, she works for a right-wing paper. I would say she has nationalist tendencies. We all know what kind of ideology and politics she adopts and celebrates, and yet she's very happy to fly off to what is effectively an Islamic dictatorship. So these people don't have principles. It has to just be about clicks and money and profile and influence. And then you have to ask yourself the question, why would that be so important to get so urgently? And then, they're either idiots or they have figured it out and they're just trying to make as much money as quickly as they can, is my read on it. Mojo Sabin says, that's because Nigel Farage is a spineless traitor aide. Just saying. Yeah. There's been a lot of people more eloquent than me who've suggested that he I can't remember the exact quote now, but it was like where somebody says, he works against his country, or he doesn't work in the interest of his country, and somebody else claps back to it and says, like, he does serve his country very well, it's just not Britain. And I think there's something in that. I think it's like I'm not going to suggest outright that he's on the payroll of the Kremlin or something like that. I think to them he's just a useful idiot. But it is really interesting that he can never bring himself to criticize Vladimir Putin. And if you guys have any of you listened to the podcast Sergey and the Westminster Spy Ring? It's by Peter Jukes of Byline Times and Carol Cadwalader, obviously formerly of The Observer, and it goes into some really serious depth and detail about the Kremlin's influence operations and psyops over the last 12 years. And it's stuff like that. When I listen to that, I'm just like, oh god, it half of me just goes, we're so fucked, because even now people aren't taking this seriously, this Russian interference stuff. But it also makes me so angry that security services were so asleep at the wheel and just not taking it seriously at all. But yeah, I highly recommend it. If you've not checked it out yet, do go and check it out. Mojo says, Nigel Farage sucks Kremlin cock aid. Well, there goes the monetization. Again. I'll just scan up a little bit. Bring back the tits to page 3, says Zero. That's 2 tiers I can get on with. The good old days. I have no idea what that's what, 2-tier policing? I don't see how that relates to boobs, but fine. How's the poll doing? Have you shared a link to this show yet? Yes, because Booge for life, or no, because I fuck livestock, and 52 to 48 at the moment. It's just hanging on in there, isn't it? 52 to 48. Come on, man. Need to get you you people who've not voted yet, to just share a link and click yes, for goodness sake. US media is scared that Trump will scrap their broadcast license, so will do nothing to piss him off. Even though such action would be unconstitutional, they'll be off-air while it winds its way through the courts. I think you're probably right. Clearly it comes down to like the regulatory space and the presidential orders that he's signing off. Like, he could make life really difficult if he wanted to, for people like the Washington Post, for people like Elon Musk, I guess. But I've thought to myself, while all of these people bend over backwards for him, I don't think it's unreasonable. I don't think it's Fantasyland to assume that Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk, Pichai, Bill Gates, and probably like one or two others, like really high profile tech guys, are probably all on a WhatsApp group together. I'd be really surprised if they're not on a WhatsApp chat together, or a Signal chat or something, a Telegram. And it wouldn't take much for those guys to all just get together and go, look, he's going to make life hard for us. Where are we all standing on this? Are we all just going to bend over backwards? Or like, if they united just on this one thing and said, look, you need us. We are a massive American industry. You can't push us around. We're not going to be like pushed into the corner and made to deliver your Trump happy news, your Trump tailored news and Gulf of America and all of that shit. He wouldn't really have any choice. He wouldn't be able to like overthrow all of the tech industry, I don't think. However sort of anti-elite he styles himself as. But every one of them, one after the other, just dominoes going down. They're all so cowardly. Tackleberry says, I like Supertan calling them the Nerd Reich. Yeah, she's good at wordplay, man. She's very good at wordplay. It's like I remember the first time she was talking about, I think, taxes going up or benefits being cut or something, and the Tories, and she said, you know, it's not Labour who are like doing X, Y, and Z and forcing your grands to start an OnlyNans. And it tickled me. She's got gifted a gab. She's got funny wordplay, funny bones. The doomsday clock has been put forward. It's 89 seconds to midnight. Closest ever, says Zero. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, I was talking to Tan and a few others earlier, and I was saying like how basically I've been chatting to my missus today about where I think society is going and how bad it's going to get over the next like 10 years. And I was basically saying to her, like, we need to start getting some sort of plan in order, because living on a street like this, where there are street lights and we're quite close to town, is just not going to work. Like, we need to be out in the middle of nowhere. We have to have a cottage with lots of green around us, like fields around us, no street lights. I don't want to be found. Like, getting really paranoid and like tin hat about it. But it's just like, I don't really see any way out of it. Like, fossil fuels are going to continue to get scarcer and scarcer. The population is going to get older and older. The taxes are going to continue to go up. Energy is going to get higher and higher price. More countries are going to compete for the little amount of fossil fuels that there are. Society will just slowly wind down. And at the moment, we're already seeing like the second or third round of cuts to public services. Eventually, those public services will just completely fail. And then what will happen is police will no longer be paid, and Serco will no longer be paid, and prisons won't be maintained, and prisoners will break out. And then, you know, if people's social housing isn't funded, if care homes aren't funded, if places aren't protected, people will just get hungrier and hungrier and more desperate, and they will get violent. And it's like, that's what's going to happen, is society will break down and there will be riots and looting and murder. And if we're lucky, if we're really lucky, then we might be able to find a place out in the middle of nowhere where we could escape the worst of it. and I was talking to my missus about this earlier, and as I was relaying it to Tan and the rest of them, I was just like, it's not clear to me yet if she was freaked out that I've become this radicalized. Freaked out at my mental state, like, do you actually believe this stuff? Like, or if she believes me, that she knows that this stuff is correct and I've just exposed her to it and she just had a face like a smacked ass. But either one of those two things, she did not look like she was in a great mood after I had sort of gone through all this stuff. I don't know. I feel like probably in the next 10 or 15 years it'll we'll start to see something horrendously bad happen. Richard Grumpy Git says Aid was last seen on Aldershot Common building a hut and carrying a spear. Things are going to go back to that, man. We all need to start taking archery lessons, I think. Start learning how to build wells and hunt deer. I'm getting the feeling that have I frozen for people? Mojo's saying he's back. But I don't know. I don't know if the connection is holding up tonight. Sorry if it's not. Diz says archery is fun. I'd like to try it. I'd like to show my kids how to do it. And like have it as a sort of, a fatherly or like, family thing that we all learn together, but also as like a little safety thing, just in case we do need to revert back to bows and arrows, defending ourselves in our forts or some shit. Like, how annoying is it? I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm kind of pissed off that I happen to have been born right at the time when civilization is just about to go over the bell curve and descend, like go back 400 years or something. I'm kind of pissed off about it. And I tell you what, I'm angrier at my parents because they've had the best years. They had, the boom years, the baby boom years, the 60s, the 70s. They had the best property buying potential. Kind of pissed. A little bit pissed about it. Gareth says, I used to do archery when I was a kid. Ended up being interviewed on Welsh Saturday morning TV about it. There you go. I was on TV when I was a kid, but it wasn't about archery. It was about, like, building machines. We built some sort of, like, all I remember about it was, like, it was made out of cereal boxes, and you, like, make a conveyor belt go along, and then the thing that you put on the conveyor belt goes into the monster's mouth, and then it eats, the monster eats whatever it was on the thing. Not very exciting, but they did come to my school and film us. I'd love to see that footage. That'd be wicked. Probably knocking around somewhere in BBC TV Centre. My pitchfork and flaming torch company is looking great for this year, says Mojo. Yeah, man, look, I tell you what, a boom industry, any sort of growth industry that you want to get into, if you're considering it, solar panels, going to be a big growth market. What else? Tinned food, bows and arrows. What else? Anything to do with building a well, getting fresh water. That's going to be a huge thing. Or cholera tablets. They're going to be really popular too. I'm so sorry that you all had to be my NPCs, says C. Barry. Gareth says fire hoses. Richard says water filters. Yeah, there you go. Diz says toilet roll. Yeah, man, toilet roll's going to be a big one. Bodak Show says the water wars are coming. I don't even think we're going to get to the water wars. I honestly think fossil fuels will start to run dry and get incredibly expensive before the adverse effects of climate change, water scarcity, all of that really becomes realized. I think energy is going to get really expensive, and that will manifest as society breaking down. Like, what are they going to do? What are they seriously going to do? Like, when it's too expensive to run a prison or maintain it or staff it, Like, what is going to happen? It's just going to break down. People are going to break out and crime is going to soar, man. And they're already talking about, like, oh, we're going to put another load of cuts in. What was it Rachel Reeves said? She's going to encourage every department, every one of her secretaries of state to put forward 25% cuts. Everyone's like, where? Where the fuck are you thinking you're going to get 25% cuts or whatever it was? It's like, there's nothing left to cut, Rach. That's why it's so infuriating, like, when there are, like, growth opportunities for them to explore, that they don't bother exploring them. It's like, why don't you legalize cocaine? Legalize coke in the UK and tax it. Or even, like, here's even more radical idea, a bail-in. A bail-in. You just say to everybody throughout the UK, look, we're really in a pickle here. How about you all bail in? It's a pay what you want deal. You all bail in as much as you can afford, and we'll ask you how much you're likely to put in ahead of time. It'll be like a reverse lottery. So, you know, they'll ask everyone to confirm their number, and then they do a sort of calculation as to how much they think they're going to bring in, and then they'll come back to everybody and go like, okay, it's not going to be enough. Can you put in, how would you feel about an extra 15% in there? Because then we really are talking. And then this bail-in would maybe clear the national debt, completely put us back on the straight and narrow. Because I would, like, truly, I would put in 100 quid, 200 quid. It sounds like a lot when you say, you know, 100 quid or 200 quid out of your pocket by the government. If that was tax, if somebody said to me like, yeah, the government are going to raise your taxes by an extra, like, you know, 30 quid a month, and over the space of a year it's going to be, I'd be pissed off. But if I knew that it was going towards settling the national debt as a one-off, I'd fucking do it. I reckon loads of people would do it. Just to get us back on the straight and narrow, to have a sound economy, I'd be like, oh, fine, whatever. This is twat tax. I just have to pay this 200 quid, and then that gets rid of your twattery for another, like, 15 years. We're golden. Mojo says, or actually taxing millionaires, billionaires, banks, and corporations. Yeah, I mean, that would be great too. I don't see why we have to pay the bill necessarily whilst they all funnel their money upstream to their parent companies in the Caymans, in Jersey. Have I talked about this recently? I think I have. I think I talked about it on a paper review last week, where I was like, you know, the setup that they have is like the parent company will charge the UK company a license, even though they're all owned by the same people, basically. They charge them a license, and then Google in the UK have to pay this enormous license fee to be able to supply services as Google. And that renders them unprofitable. And then the parent company takes all of the profits, and the parent company is in the Caymans, and they are not taxed at all. And then the dividends come down from the Cayman thing, that's transferred over to this place, and maybe it's a loan, and basically it's a huge fucking tax dodge. And they need to sort that out. They need to tighten up that loophole, but I don't think they're going to do anything. I've said this a lot recently. I think this Labour government will just be a brief window in time, a 4-year respite or 4.5-year respite from increasing, you know, slides into right-wing authoritarianism. I think when the next conservative government get in, I just can't see that they're not going to have any solutions for the same problems that we have. Not that Labour have at the moment, seemingly. But so things will get worse. Taxes will continue to go up. Things will get worse. Public services will continue to not be funded properly until they collapse. Like that is the trajectory that we're on. Musical MMA says, why do you have subscribers only mode on? Do I? Where? What, views or live or chats? Let's have a look. All messages are visible. I don't think it's subscribers only. Because the live chat is for subscribers. Oh, right, I see. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Yes, so there is it's a setting that you toggle on. Basically, I put it on there to stop people coming in and then causing problems. I don't mind if I engage with people who aren't necessarily subscribed to the channel, but on a Friday night it's like a live show, and I stick around afterwards for this like lock-in thing to take questions from people, and it's invariably sorry, I'm just reading your comment. I'd turn off sub mode only because I think you'll get more engagement. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I'll think about it for next week. If I might be out for dinner next week. Might have to pre-record one. What happened on Wednesday, says Diz. Oh, okay. Well, I'll quickly talk about this and then I have to go because it's getting a bit late and my kids are inside. I've moved roles at work, and I've moved into a thing that I don't really know how to do particularly well. So I've been spending a lot more time recently like trying to upskill, trying to future-proof myself for this sort of future, this bleak future that I endlessly harp on about, but like more around like the AI space. So the stuff that I do in the daytime is to do with like websites and stuff, and I think the discipline that I have learned over the last 10 years is possibly more vulnerable to being gobbled up by AI than the new one that I'm learning. So I'm just taking a bit of time to upskill, but also I meant to do it on Tuesday night, and then the kids were like full on. And then I thought, oh, well, fuck it, I'll do it on Wednesday. And then Wednesday, I had a very full-on day with work and training and upskilling. I didn't get back home till late. And then basically, by the time it was Thursday, all the stuff that I had prepped was all out of date. And I was like, fuck's sake. So I missed the midweek one this week. So apologies for that. Usually pretty good about churning out two episodes a week. But yeah, it just all got a little bit crazy this week. Blue Badger says, all ruined by the bots about the subscriber-only mode, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when I first started doing this, I've been quite lucky. Nobody's ever been really abusive, I don't think, in a chat to me. But I have seen a few, like, weird comments here and there. And I just think, like, life's too fucking short, man. Like, I don't want bots coming in trying to sell crypto. I don't want people putting links to their fucking weird Instagram thirst trap sites. This is a show, this is a channel for people to talk shit about politics, satire, dystopia, and have a bit of a laugh on a Friday night. This isn't a fucking, you know, village notice board for you to try to con people out of their money, jump on your how to make £50,000 every day with my crypto course. So I just, like, you know, having it on subscribers only mode means that somebody has to be reasonably invested in the paper review and the podcast to bother subscribing. So yeah, that's a big part of it for me. Richard and I have taken the royal piss occasionally. That was fun. That's fine. That's fine. I don't mind when subscribers, and certainly not Patreons. If it's a Patreon or like a YouTube community member, I'm not so thin-skinned that I would care particularly when people roast me in the comments in the chat. That's fine. Because it's like it's obvious that it's coming from a good place. Like, it's just a bit of bants. If you're signed up to the Patreon and the community, like, it would take a slightly weird personality to bother signing up for something that you were then actually, like, paying money to somebody that you hate. You were mean-spiritedly attacking just so you could get into the, like, it's so that's fine. I don't mind that. Even people who aren't on the Patreon, if they're just like regular viewers, subscribers who jump in here and have a bit of a roast, I'm at peace with that. But when it's someone I don't know, I've never seen them before, and they pop in and just start, like, pasting spam or, you know, having conversation. It's like 2 or 3 accounts all talking about crypto amongst each other, or thirst trap Instagram links, or, you know, whatever. So yeah. Anyway, guys, right. I need to. I got to run. We have ticked over to 400 views tonight, which is rather good. I'm pretty pleased with that. The channel keeps growing, so thank you for you guys for tuning in, and showing some love. And thank you to those of you who were able to share a link and who continue to share links and repost things that I'm putting out on BlueSky and such. I'll be back Monday morning with the alternative paper review, of course. I'll be putting some clips up of the podcast on to the Clips channel. So if you're not subbed to the Clips channel, do jump over there, because I put like little 5 or 10 minute clips of what I've been talking about on there. But until next time, keep yourself safe, keep it booge, keep it binfluencer, and let me just turn the music down. Hold on. And I am out this mother fucker. See you later, guys. Bye.